Hey everyone, and welcome back to Fine Print. Today, we start part 5 of the India series, British Colonialism and Indian Independence. On today's episode, we are going to cover the beginnings of British rule in India, most notably the Battle of Plassey. Join us as we explore the early events of British colonialism, as well as India's fight back to regain their independence. On the last episode, we concluded the Mughals versus the Marathas by discussing Aurangzeb's rule and the Mughal Empire's decline. Today, we will be covering the initial attempts of the British Crown to establish a mercantilist economy in India. Although the British East India Company initially set out for India in the 1600s, they initially were mostly interested in economic gains and trade. They established port cities in coastal cities like Surat and Madras, but never aimed to directly colonize India. Throughout the 1700s, however, their attitudes towards the trade partner began to change for the worse. Throughout the 18th century, the British East India Company began exerting more diplomatic and military force on the Indian subcontinent, using their military advancements to suppress any minor uprisings. During this time period, the Indian subcontinent saw the rule of various rulers, mostly from the Mughals. While some Mughal emperors greatly prevented British dominance in the subcontinent, others, like Jahangir, opened it up to more port cities, making it easier for the British to slide into the area and establish dominance. Furthermore, with Aurangzeb's chaotic rule, the Mughal Empire jumped at the opportunity to colonize an otherwise decentralized and unstable subcontinent. Most notably, in 1737, the Mughal Empire had begun to collapse. Under this decentralized empire was the Nawab, or Viceroy of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Daulah. By this time, the British East India Company had begun establishing its presence in India, interfering in the political affairs of regional Indian rulers. This angered Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah for various reasons, most notably the fortification of Kolkata by the British without the Nawab's permission, as well as British interference in Bengal's regional affairs. Combined, these disputes led to increased conflict between the Nawab and the British East India Company. Two other notable individuals involved in the conflict were Sir Robert Clive and Mir Jafar. Robert Clive was a British officer who commanded the British Army in the Battle of Plassey. His strong leadership and diplomatic skills allowed the already strong British side to further strengthen its forces to defeat the Nawab's army. Second on the list, Mir Jafar was one of Siraj-ud-Daulah's commanders who secretly allied with the British, betraying both the Nawab and the Indian subcontinent. Today, Mir Jafar is largely recognized as a traitor who betrayed the Indians and is largely the reason for the British imperialism of India. The Battle of Plassey took place in modern-day West Bengal. Although Siraj-ud-Daulah commanded a larger force than the British, the betrayal by his generals presented holes in his army. When put in front of Robert Clive's formidable forces, Siraj-ud-Daulah's forces crumbled, leading to a swift British victory. In the aftermath of the war, Siraj-ud-Daulah was imprisoned and soon executed, and Mir Jafar was crowned the Nawab of Bengal, leading to the official establishment of British rule in India. In the years following British colonization, Britain gained an extensive stronghold over not just Bengal, but the area surrounding it as well. As the British forces gained power, Mir Jafar's leadership was overshadowed by British intervention in Bengali politics and economy. Mir Jafar was eventually replaced by his son-in-law, Mir Qasim, but although he initially cooperated with British rule, he later rebelled himself, causing another conflict and the establishment of stronger British rule in the region. As Britain continued exploiting Bengal economically, they suffered the Great Bengal Famine of 1770, which is argued by many to be a man-made famine and caused significant starvation and death in the state. Over time, the British East India Company solidified its rule by transitioning from a primarily economic and mercantilist company to officially colonizing India after the Indian Rebellion of 1857, where Indian soldiers in the British Army rebelled against British authorities due to the presence of cow and pig fats in the army's gun cartilage. After the British victory in this rebellion, Britain officially dissolved the East India Company in 1858 and begun direct colonization over India. In summary, the Battle of Plassey and Britain's colonization of India were two key events in Indian history that continue to shape the demographics of the country even today. Over the course of this part of the India series, we will not only cover the British colonization of India, but also how India fought back and ultimately gained their independence from Britain in 1947. On the next episode, we will cover the lives of some famous Indian freedom fighters that gave up their life for the independence of India. Until then, keep following fine print and keep reading between the lines.